The cafe pulsed with a warmth that defied the icy grip of the winter night. The soft hum of conversation and the clinking of cups created a comforting symphony, a stark contrast to the biting cold outside. A veil of fog clung to the windows, obscuring the street outside. The world beyond seemed distant and mysterious, as if the fog was a barrier between the mundane and the extraordinary. Inside, the air hung heavy with the aroma of roasted coffee and whispered secrets. The steam from freshly brewed coffee mingled with the soft murmurs, creating an atmosphere thick with anticipation and curiosity. A small group huddled around a flickering candle, their faces illuminated in the dim light. The candle's flame danced, casting shadows that seemed to move with a life of their own, adding to the night's mystique. They were friends, drawn together by a shared fascination with the strange and the unexplained. Their bond was strengthened by countless nights, spent unraveling the mysteries that eluded the ordinary. Tonight, their conversation danced around personal encounters with the mysterious. Each story was a piece of a larger puzzle, a glimpse into the unknown that both thrilled and unsettled them. Each tale, a thread in the tapestry of the unknown, spun a web of intrigue. The stories were varied, from ghostly apparitions to inexplicable phenomena, each adding a new layer to the night's enigma. A chill ran down my spine as I listened, my senses heightened by the eerie ambience. The flickering candlelight and the hushed tones of the storytellers made the tales feel all the more real and immediate. One by one they shared their stories. Each voice carried a different emotion: fear, wonder, disbelief, painting a vivid picture of their experiences. Tales of premonitions and uncanny coincidences. Stories of dreams that foretold the future and encounters with the inexplicable that defied logic. Whispers of shadows moving in the night. The idea that the darkness held secrets just beyond the reach of the light was both terrifying and exhilarating. Each narrative a testament to the fact that reality often surpasses the boundaries of our understanding. The stories served as reminders that the world is full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. The café, a sanctuary from the cold, had transformed into a haven for the seekers of the unknown. It was a place where the ordinary met the extraordinary, and where the line between reality and imagination blurred. As the night wore on, the candle's flame continued to flicker, a silent witness to the stories shared and the mysteries pondered. The warmth of the café and the camaraderie of friends made the night one to remember. Eventually, the friends would step back into the foggy night, carrying with them the echoes of their conversations and the lingering sense of wonder. The café, now quiet, would await the next gathering of curious souls. The night of shadows and whispers would live on in their memories, a testament to the power of storytelling and the enduring allure of the unknown. A figure sat alone in the corner, shrouded in the shadows of the café. The dim lighting cast eerie shapes around him, making his presence almost spectral. He seemed to blend into the darkness, becoming one with the shadows that enveloped him. He was a stranger, his presence unnoticed by the engrossed group. The café was alive with chatter and laughter, yet he remained invisible, a ghostly figure in the periphery of their awareness. The clinking of cups and the hum of conversation created a symphony that he was not a part of. His eyes, dark and intense, followed the rhythm of their conversation, absorbing every word. They darted from one face to another, capturing every nuance, every gesture. It was as if he were reading a story written in the air, a tale only he could decipher. He remained silent, a solitary observer in a room buzzing with shared experiences. His stillness was unsettling, a stark contrast to the animated discussions around him. He seemed out of place, yet perfectly at home in his solitude. It was as if he were a shadow himself, feeding off the energy of their stories. The more they talked, the more he seemed to absorb, his presence growing more defined yet still elusive. He was a part of the scene, yet apart from it. The candlelight flickered, momentarily revealing a face etched with an almost unnatural stillness. His features were sharp, almost chiseled, and his expression was one of deep contemplation. The light danced across his face, revealing and concealing him in turns. His gaze seemed to hold a depth of knowledge, a familiarity with the mysteries being unveiled. It was as if he knew the secrets of the universe, and the stories being told were mere fragments of a larger, cosmic narrative. His eyes were windows to a world beyond the mundane. The group, lost in their own world of whispers and shadows, paid him no heed. They were wrapped up in their own dramas, their own lives, completely unaware of the silent observer in their midst. Their laughter and whispers created a bubble that he could not penetrate. They were oblivious to the silent observer in their midst, the stranger who listened with such rapt attention. His focus was unwavering, his attention absolute. He was a silent witness to their lives, a recorder of their stories. He was an enigma, his presence adding another layer of mystery to the already charged atmosphere. The café, with its warm lights and lively patrons, became a stage for his silent performance. He was the unseen actor, the hidden protagonist in a play that only he understood.
We haven't heard from you. Surely you have a story to tell.
The stranger hesitated, as if reluctant to break his silence. He shifted in his seat, his gaze sweeping over the expectant faces before settling back on the woman. A flicker of something unreadable crossed his features. Was it amusement? Or perhaps it is something more unsettling?
I do, but I doubt you'd believe it.
His words hung in the air, a challenge wrapped in an enigma. The group leaned closer, their curiosity piqued. The stranger, drawn out from the shadows, had become the focal point of their gathering. The stranger began his tale, his voice a hypnotic monotone that commanded attention. His eyes, dark and intense, seemed to draw everyone in the room into the eerie narrative he was about to unfold. He spoke of an old house, its walls steeped in the silence of forgotten years. The house stood at the edge of town, shrouded in mystery and whispers of ghostly apparitions. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, and the air was thick with the weight of untold stories. A house he had moved into, seeking solitude and finding something far more unsettling. He had hoped to escape the chaos of the world, to find peace in the isolation of the old creaking structure. But what he found was a presence that defied explanation, a haunting that would not let him rest. He described a persistent dampness, a creeping stain on the wall of his study. It started as a small, innocuous mark, barely noticeable against the faded wallpaper, but there was something about it that caught his eye, a sense of unease that he couldn't quite shake. At first it was just a discolored patch, easily dismissed. He thought it was a simple case of water damage, something that could be fixed with a bit of effort. But as he watched, the stain seemed to grow, almost as if it had a life of its own. But as days turned into weeks, the stain began to take on a bizarre shape. It twisted and turned, spreading across the wall in a way that defied logic. It was as if the wall itself was alive, morphing into something sinister and unrecognizable. It darkened, spread, and contorted until, with chilling clarity, it formed the unmistakable image of a human face. The features were grotesque, twisted into an expression of perpetual agony that seemed to reach out and grab hold of his very soul. The face, he recounted, was grotesquely detailed, its features twisted into an expression of perpetual agony. Every line, every shadow seemed to tell a story of pain and suffering, a silent scream that echoed through the room.
Every attempt to scrub the image away proved futile. He tried everything he could think of, from harsh chemicals to desperate scrubbing, but nothing worked. The face remained, a haunting presence that seemed to mock his efforts. The face remained, a haunting presence that stared back at me with chilling intensity. It was as if the wall itself was alive, watching him, judging him, never letting him forget its presence. Days turned into sleepless nights as I found myself drawn to the wall, captivated and repulsed by the image that seemed to writhe and shift in the flickering candlelight. The face seemed to come alive in the darkness, its features shifting and changing, always watching, always waiting. It was a nightmare from which there was no escape, a haunting that would stay with him forever.